Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the bunk Trump-Russia collusion narrative that has been pushed by the leftists for years now. It's actually kind of died down ever since the Mueller report first failed and also impeachment failed earlier in January of this year. So they haven't talked about it much recently, but that's because I think they're trying to brush this whole claim under the rug. You see, recently, new facts have been coming out sort of proving a lot of these Democrats were lying. We've gotten released transcripts, behind the scenes footage, messages that have been shared behind the scenes that haven't matched what people have said publicly. And a lot of it has shown that many of these prominent Democrats, both politicians and ones in the news, they knew there was no proof for collusion. They knew nothing was going on, but at the same time, they were tweeting about it and saying things publicly as if it was happening. They were hoping they could bluff us all. They hope they could bluff the country and dupe all their Democratic followers for starters, and then get other people to turn on their side, including lots of Trump haters and other Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. So this has been very troubling, very upsetting to see, and I have to say, a lot of new information is coming out that may shock you guys. Today we're talking about one person in particular, Adam Schiff. He's a terrible Democratic politician from California who kind of led the charge against Trump. He was the one pushing collusion, saying he had proof for sure. Now it turns out he not only didn't have proof, but he knew he didn't have proof and still lied about it and said he did anyway. Adam Schiff has been doing this sort of anti-Trump dance for years now, and he's just one of the worst Democrats out there. Not only is he from California, representing the Burbank area, very ritzy, very liberal, elitist type place, but in addition, this guy's a vegan. He just looks funny. He has this like Pinocchio look to him, like he looks hollow and weak, and he's just terrible person that has shown he will not stop lying. He doesn't care. He's a classic politician who will do anything he can to try and win. This article has more details about how he got caught. It says, Wall Street Journal editorial board, all the Adam Schiff transcripts, chair knew there was no proof of Russia-Trump collusion. So we're vindicating Trump once again, and we're also showing that the people that were accusing him actually knew there was nothing going on, so they were trying to fabricate this out of nowhere. The article goes on to say this part. Americans expect that politicians will lie, but sometimes the examples are so brazen that they deserve special notice. Newly released congressional testimony shows that Adam Schiff spread falsehoods shamelessly about Russia and Donald Trump for 3 years, even as his own committee gathered contrary evidence. The House Intelligence Committee last week released 57 transcripts of interviews it conducted in its investigation into Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. The committee probe started in January 2017 under the then-chair Devin Nunes and concluded in March 2018 with a report finding no evidence that the Trump campaign conspired with the Kremlin. Most of the transcripts were ready for release long ago, but Mr. Schiff oddly refused to release them after he became chairman in 2019. He only released them last week when the White House threatened to do it first. So obviously there was some bad information in there that would expose Adam Schiff. That's why he refused to release these transcripts. But now that he's been called out by the White House, they sort of pressured him to do it himself, because if they released it, it would make him look even worse. But this is still bad. It shows that he knew there was no collusion, and he kept pushing it, even though his committee and the people in government were collecting evidence that showed there wasn't collusion. So there's a big contradiction here, a big problem with the way this information has come through and the way that the government is treating its president. This is a duly elected president. Trump won. He's done nothing wrong. And these Democrats just think they can oust him because they don't like him politically. They think because they disagree with someone, they can then be justified to frame them up. This is part of their logic. I've seen this myself. I've seen this in a lot of places online, in politics. I've seen it on YouTube and Twitter. I've seen specific Democrats say, hey, first they're going to slam you and give you a fake label. They'll call you a racist, a sexist, or sometimes like a 1940s German. And then the next step is, after they lie about you, then they say, oh, it's okay to kind of go after these people more in harsh ways. Sometimes they encourage deplatforming, flagging, freezing your bank accounts, your assets, getting you fired, and even some people will encourage real violence against their opponents, especially liberals, especially these Antifa-like people. So that's the second step. First they give you a fake name, then they encourage things to be done against you, and then once they get the public and other people on their side, they start their little mobs and they come after the people they don't like. And if you go back to the beginning, getting there, these are innocent people who just disagree with them. They're just people that aren't liberals. People don't like ones that aren't left like them. They want serious, far leftists too. Like even a middle ground centrist can be considered an enemy of their side. And it's just really messed up, and it shows how polarizing things have become. Now we know why. From the earliest days of the collusion narrative, Mr. Schiff insisted that he had evidence proving the plot. In March 2017 on MSNBC, Mr. Schiff teased that he couldn't go into particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. That evidence obviously never came out. In December 2017, he told CNN that collusion was a fact. The Russians offered help, the campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. In April 2018, Mr. Schiff released his response to Mr. Nunes' report, stating that its finding of no collusion was unsupported by the facts in the investigative record. Okay, so more sorts of wordplay, more, oh, I have evidence, but I'm not showing you. Like this, it's a game. It's a big game for these Democrats. They're not taking it seriously. That's why they're so willing to kind of lie and manipulate and change information, misedit clips like we talked about in another video when Chuck Todd deceptively edited a clip of AG Barr. These guys have no morals, no principles, and they're not taking it seriously. I know not every single thing the government does is kind of life or death, but this is real world stuff. We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about our government, our country, our history, our people, and the Democrats are just playing it like it's a joke. They don't care. They don't take things seriously. They don't want to be like legitimate about what's going on. That's why they make stuff up. That's why they kind of have these fake news stories. They have these sorts of, oh, Trump has collusion, he agreed to do this, but I have evidence, but I'm not going to show you. Like, what's up with that? Why would there not be a chance to show the evidence? Like, why wouldn't he just show it 3 years ago? Well, the reason is because the evidence never existed, first off, and second off, yeah, they're not going to show it because they want to keep teasing people, making people think it's worse than it is too, and making them kind of have their imaginations go wild. And also, they can lead people on longer and have this whole thing go on for year after year, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And that's why we're in such a terrible place we are today. Next, let's watch some of the coverage and check out this video right here.
Relation for the American people is, I think that's the real revelation for the American people is they were using their own Russian dirt to ask questions, and it was all fake. It was all phony the whole time, and the press was in on this too. It's the cover-up. And I think that's the main thing is now you're starting to see the pieces of the cover-up that I think are actually more important.
That, of course, is Congressman Devin Nunes on the newly released transcripts from the House Intel Committee's Russia investigation. Nunes saying the
Okay, those are good points already. Nunes is the politician kind of coming out against this. There's a picture of Adam Schiff. And yeah, this is another case where the cover-up can be worse than the crime. The lying is bad already. The people kind of making stuff up is terrible. And then in addition, the politicians in collusion with the media is really bad. It's showing how biased and terrible the press has become, how we can't trust them anymore. They're not good actors. They're not going for information. They're not trying to report to you guys the news and give you an idea of what's going on today. No, they're trying to push propaganda on you. They're trying to tell you what to think. They want to manipulate you and make you like certain people and hate certain other ones. They want you to hate Trump. The press is against Trump in every single way. We've seen that in a number of different fashions. I mean, this is just the Russia collusion narrative. We've seen that in other videos just this week, like when Trump goes against the reporters in press conferences. You can see all kinds of them acting a fool. Jim Acosta, Wei Zhejiang, other ridiculous people from PBS, CNN, they always are cutting him off and attacking him. And the press is the enemy of the people. That's why we say this. They're part of the problem, and they're kind of one of the worst parts of problem because the politicians at least got elected. They at least got into a position of power in somewhat of a legitimate way, and they have a sort of authority. And in particular, we may disagree with a terrible liberal politician here, but the area of Burbank has the right to elect someone like Adam Schiff. I mean, I think they could do far better. I think there's probably even a mildly conservative candidate that could outbeat this joker. But the point is, the people can elect their officials in their areas, but the idea that this guy, Schiff, can lie and try to take down a president who's a national figure that's elected by the whole country, that's pretty messed up.
Transcripts show the entire inquiry was based on a bogus premise. Republicans now calling out the chairman, Adam Schiff, who repeatedly said he had seen evidence the Trump campaign colluded with the Kremlin to win the 2016 election. New York GOP Congressman Lee Zeldin joins us now. He, of course, serves on the Foreign Affairs and Financial Services Committee. Congressman, good morning.
Okay, so now we're talking about Schiff kind of getting exposed, lying once again. He said he had evidence. That was his thing. Like, he was the guy who always said, oh, there's evidence. Don't worry. We got it. We got it somewhere, guys. We got it. He kept repeating that over and over, and it never turned up. It never came out. There was a Mueller report. There was an impeachment. We had all these opportunities to see something, and it just didn't exist. And that's because we know now they knew they didn't have evidence. The transcripts expose that. We're seeing a good confirmation from public officials, other people reading it, Fox News, these representatives. So yeah, Schiff lied, people died, now we got to deal with it. And what the problem really is that these politicians are just lying to your faces, and they think they could get away with it. That's the most messed up part. Like, why isn't more people going after Schiff? Why isn't he getting primary? Why isn't he getting somehow punished, taken off of committees, whatever it may be? I mean, he's still elected official, but gosh, this is just really frustrating, and it's terrible to see someone go after the president in such a harsh way, in such an unfair way, that is really just kind of making people more and more upset and more disenchanted with politics and the way this stuff is run. I hope this will also motivate people on the right side, conservatives. We need to unite and get Trump reelected in November, because otherwise we're going to have more liars like Adam Schiff in charge, taking over this country, taking us down terrible roads, lying to our faces, and kind of manipulating things so they can have their own personal gains. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys leave some comments below. Comment both what your thoughts are about Adam Schiff caught lying, about the Trump-Russia collusion narrative falling apart and getting proven to be even more nefarious than it was before. And also, make sure you guys leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a good day. Everyone, take care.